And you can see the engine just spooling up now. So engine number 2 is stabilised quite nicely, so let's get back to the cockpit and do engine number 1. Bit of a smoky engine. I'm not sure quite if they smoke in real life. Okay, so let's do the after start checklist. So engine anti-ice. I mean, it's 8 degrees outside, I believe. Yeah, so we'll leave the anti-ice off today. It probably is just about the temperature we should leave it on, but we won't. Isolation switch off. That's this one here. Pack selectors back to auto. ECAS. There's nothing popping up, so that's good. Auto brakes to rejected takeoff. Flaps set to 5, so that's 2 clicks down. Ground equipment is indeed clear, so APU we can now switch off. And the engine display is indeed blank. So we can switch on the logo light. We probably should have had on from the start, but it doesn't matter. We can switch on the taxi lights. Set the parking brakes. So there's quite a few Thompson aircraft about. As you can see. Seems to be dominated by Thompson and British Airways. And the EasyJets all seem to be over there. Okay, so that's the ground crew clearing us to carry on with our flight and taxi to the runway. So we'll just get a taxi clearance from ATC. So there we go. There was a difference between default FSX and what Pro-ATC was using. I think they missed out quite a few taxiways there, but we taxi from Lima to Kilo Alpha, then on to Kilo November, and then Alpha November, and then Yankee, and that'll bring us to the threshold. Sorry, that wasn't quite right. So Lima, Kilo Alpha, November, then Alpha November, and then Mike, and that'll bring us to the threshold of runway 26 left. Let's get taxiing then. So you don't need very much thrust to get going in the 757. In fact, I'm pretty sure it rolls without any input, just off the idling thrust. So just onto Kilo Alpha now. Then make a right turn onto Kilo. An EasyJet departing just straight ahead. And then on to November. So we'll just go down here until we get to Alpha November. So that's this left now. Right, so I'll just work through the before takeoff checklist, which actually it seems like, yeah, it's just make sure the flaps are in the correct position. We could also adjust the temperature on the thrust panel, but I'm not 100% comfortable. I know exactly what I'm doing there, so I need to do a bit more reading before I program it. So that's Alpha holding point, and we'll move on to the next one, which is Mike. There we go. So when we get lined up, we'll put on the strobes and the landing lights, but let's get takeoff clearance.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please. Tower TON 4558, on holding position runway 26 left, request takeoff.
Tango Oscar Mike 4558, line up runway 26 left.
Lining up runway 26 left, TON 4558.
So pop on the strobes and the wing lights. And Pro-ATC, because it doesn't properly interact, well, I haven't managed to figure out how to set it to interact with the default AI. It does clear you on occasionally when there are traffic incoming. Landing lights on. So we'll act as if that never happened. Right, 50%, as we've got clearance. Everything's looking stable, so we click on the EPR and we get takeoff thrust. So we'll maintain this until 1,000 feet, and then we'll pop on the autopilot. So now, autopilot on, LNAV, VNAV. Okay, cleared to 5. So when we get to 190, which is now, we'll pop up the flaps to 1. And then when we get to 205, we'll clean up all the flaps. Which is now. So the after takeoff checklist is landing gear lever up and off and flaps up, which they are, as you can see there, flap 0. So we can now follow the departure, and I'll just do some external views so you can see what's going on. So you can see Gatwick just there, beyond our right wingtip. I think ORBX is now on spring textures, which is why they look a little bit more colourful. We're getting some of these yellow fields and everything's just looking a little bit greener now. Jump back into the virtual cockpit just so we can see where we're going. So right, so we're on to Acorn next, and then making a easterly departure out. The weather's looking reasonably nice today. I'll pop the weather radar on, but I seem to remember it's a bit temperamental whether it works or not. I'm not sure whether it works with Active Sky Next, which is what I've got set, so that could be the reason why. Sometimes it does seem to pop up, but the majority of the time it doesn't. But we'll see if we get lucky today. So we're just tracking at 5,000 feet, 250 knots, just to keep under the speed limits. And then once we get past, or once we clear certain waypoints on this SID, we'll get cleared up to higher altitudes. Okay, so we've been cleared up to 6,000 now, so slowly making a little climb up. As we're currently flying over Kent, quite low level, as you can see, with the rolling fields. We might be lucky enough to fly over Dover actually, so we could see, have a look at that. Now, something that I've noticed, which is missing, it could be just this livery, because it was a third-party livery that I downloaded, but the altitude tape isn't actually present. I mean, it's not a problem because we've got the altitude here, but I'm just wondering whether that's a bug with this livery or whether it's one of the settings that you have to set in the config, or I'm not sure. So if anyone knows the reason for that, do comment, explain why. Okay, so we've been cleared up to flight level 100. And because we've been transferred over to landing control, I suspect this will now be our climb up to cruise altitude. Yeah, it must be, because I mean the next waypoint isn't part of the departure, so... Well, it's the final waypoint of the departure, so here we go, yeah. 140. So we just crossed through at 10,000, so we turn off the landing lights, and we can switch off the seatbelt sign. So we're just crossing over the southern coast of England, and lo and behold, right below us is Dover. So you can see the ferry port right below us, and then obviously the famous White Cliffs just adjacent either side. Now I don't think ORBX have modelled the castle, but there is obviously a Dover Castle on top of the cliff just about here. But what we'll do now, I'll just cut to the cruise. So once we've leveled out on cruise, I'll just show you some of the external views, and then that'll be it, and we'll jump to the descent. Okay, so we're just about 3,000 feet off our cruise altitude, and as you can see on the map display, the little green T/C is the top of cruise indicator, so once we hit that we'll be at bang on 37,000. So at this point I'll just show you some external views, just have a little look around the aircraft, and then I'll skip over to the descent section of this flight. So see you in a bit.